Our scripture for this evening is Psalms chapter 30. Psalms chapter 30. There are many words and phrases that we use that have varying meanings. Sometimes a word we use has nothing to do with the technical definition that may be in Webster's dictionary. Then there are times that there are words that aren't really words, but are things that are a part of our culture and concepts that are familiar to those in our social circle. Then there are some phrases that are just funny, some that are serious, and some that are somewhere in between. One of the words or phrases that I find to be of interest is over yonder. We know what it's like to hear, especially those who are senior citizens or those who have even gone on before us, who used to use that phrase a lot. Go over yonder and get me a glass of water. Go over yonder and get me this. Over yonder has been a phrase that has been used in Southern culture, black culture. There are even gospel hymns that talk about over yonder. Even preachers preach about over yonder. And while we can appreciate the phrase in its cultural traditions, there is a problem with the concept of focusing excessively about over yonder. That is, in the realm of religion, when we talk about over yonder, we talk about heaven and God, our experiences of glory over yonder. With that, it makes God to, in some sense, seem distant. It makes God seem disconnected from our sorrows. And by focusing excessively on over yonder, it means that our dreams can only be realized after death. Again, nothing wrong with the phrase in a general sense, but when we talk about over yonder too much, one could easily conclude that God is not over here, that he is simply over yonder. And we need in these times of a pandemic, and times of difficulty, we don't need an over yonder experience. We need a right now experience. As such, we don't need to view God simply as an over yonder God. We need him to be a right here and right now God. It is for this reason that I call your attention to Psalms chapter 30. Reading in its entirety, in verse 1, we see these words. I will extol thee, O Lord, for thou hast lifted me up and hast not made my foes to rejoice over me. O Lord my God, I cried unto thee, and thou hast healed me. O Lord, thou hast brought up my soul from the grave. Thou hast kept me alive, that I should not go down to the pit. Sing unto the Lord, O ye saints of his, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. For his anger endureth but a moment. In his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. And in my prosperity I said, I shall never be moved. Lord, by thy favor thou hast made my mountain to stand strong. Thou didst hide thy face, and I was troubled. I cried to thee, O Lord, and unto the Lord I made supplication. What profit is there in my blood when I go down to the pit? Shall the dust praise thee? Shall it declare thy truth? Hear, O Lord, and have mercy upon me. Lord, be thou my helper. Thou hast turned for me my mourning into dancing. Thou hast put off my sackcloths and girded me with gladness. to the end that my glory may sing praise to thee and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give thanks unto thee forever. Psalms chapter 30 encompasses so much great information. Let's just break it down and look at some key thoughts that David the psalmist mentions in this song to the Lord. As he reflects on the greatness of God, he does not see God as over yonder or some distant, disconnected God who makes us wait till death to experience goodness. This song is him bragging about God right here and right now. As you analyze Psalms chapter 30, you see just a few things amongst many that demonstrate his appreciation for God right now. For example, in verse number 1, he is bragging on the fact that God has helped him with his enemies. That's not an over yonder experience, that's a right now experience. In verse number 2, he is alluding to the fact that he has been sick. Most scholars believe this to be an actual physical ailment, not just some emotional or mental trouble, but an actual physical ailment that David had gone through, that the contemporary medicine and technology and medical breakthroughs at the time did not permit a method of remedy. And so he sought out God, who was not over yonder, but right here and right now. Not only does David brag about God helping against his enemies and healing him, in verse number 8, he talks about he heard my prayer. Oh, isn't it great to pray? He said, I cried to thee, O Lord, and unto the Lord I made supplication. He is so excited that God has heard him, that he responds with praise. He responds with an attitude of gratitude. Beloved, I am not at all critical of our colloquial sayings or our cultural sayings or our traditions. I'm not at all criticizing the idea of using the phrase over yonder. But as I read this, I want us to recognize that God is not distant. He's not disconnected. And our dreams need not be realized after death. There are three thoughts to keep in mind as we talk about the right here and right now God. Number one, the nearness of God. Always recognize that you are not alone on the journey of life, that God walks with you and allows you to talk with him as you experience life, not over yonder, but right here and right now. Second, not only do you appreciate the nearness of God, but understand that God acts now and not just then. There are too many people who have resigned themselves to apathy and pessimism. One of the things Dr. Martin Luther King said that he found to be most discouraging is a person who had so little hope that he resigned himself to a hopeless situation. Understand that God offers us hope no matter what our problems, no matter what our circumstances, no matter who happens or what happens. God can work right now and not just over yonder. And third, you need to understand the Lord that you serve. He's seeking your fellowship, your relationship. He's seeking an opportunity to be connected with you. So whatever you go through, cast your cares and burdens to him. Talk to him about it. Pray, seek him. And when he answers right here and right now, don't be afraid like David to render praise to his name. And don't let other folk discourage you because you keep talking to God about the same thing. Maybe they need to talk to God about some stuff. Whatever's on your heart, understand He's not just over yonder. He's right here and right now. This has been another installment of A Few Minutes with the Minister.